Would you like me to mail this to you so you can read it? For what it'll cost me to mail it, I'll probably just buy one and send it to you.
Just send it media mail.
Oh, I can send that. You can't send comic books, but you can send books about comic books. Fuck you, USPS. I'm sorry, USPS. Don't hate me. I was drunk.
Let's go to Canada. Let's leave today. Canada, Canada. I see the way.
Welcome to episode 32 of Why Not Read Alpha Flight with Chris and Tom, a podcast where we take your favorite series seriously. We're your hosts, and I'm Tom Flynn.
I'm Chris Baker.
Just best friends, taking a romp through a lesser-read but much-loved realm of Marvel Comics.
Thanks for joining us. We have a single issue for you today, friends, but grab whatever baked good you have on hand and head down to the basement. The sirens are going off. We are in for a serious Mantlo storm.
You need to explain why I made that noise now.
All I heard was you made like a cat meow and then whooshing noises. That was the worst siren noise I've ever heard.
Okay, but you requested that I be the one to make that.
I was expecting something like woo. Do you not have tornado sirens in Chicago?
I do. Maybe I just can't perfectly mimic them. Okay, look, the reason we're not using a proper siren noise is because Chris, being a good Midwestern boy, does not feel like it's okay to use to trigger other people with siren noises, considering that he and I both have been under tornado warnings in the past, and frankly,
under tornado warnings. Tom, stop! You're embarrassing yourself. You live in a city, Tom. Look, I once spent a delightful afternoon listening to different brands of tornado sirens until I found the exact one that my hometown had when I was growing up, because you never forget the exact sphincter puckering sound of, oh my God, Mom, are we going to die? So, Tom, this bit has gotten out of control.
To be fair, my kids have experienced. I've experienced it as an adult, and my kids have experienced it when we were downstate, and there was a tornado touchdown about a half mile away from my in-laws' house. And
you saw the green sky, huh?
Well, my oldest still gets a little bit nervous about that.
The green sky is truly, like, you cannot explain it to people that when a tornado comes, the sky turns colors the sky is not supposed to be, and it looks like Oz is angry.
So moving right along, the story so far, because God help whoever picks this up as their first issue ever. Back under the auspices of the Canadian government and their top men in Department H, Alpha Flight is operating out of Mansion Alpha, the very model of a modern superhero base on Tamarind Island off the coast of British Columbia.
I appreciate that you found that rhythm there, the very model of a modern superhero base.
Well, I mean, it's the very model of a modern Major General.
Yes. This is why you come here, folks. Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah. Now you're thinking to yourself, how many other Gilbert and Sullivan Easter eggs have they slipped in over the years? And I gotta tell you, that's not the only one.
We come to it from different places. I come to it from the West Wing.
I come to it from having performed in it as a kid.
Led by the totally human Heather Hudson wearing a version of her husband's electromagnetic power suit and calling herself Vindicator, Alpha Flight is made up of speedster twins Northstar and Aurora, the former of whom is exhibiting sudden bouts of coughing, and the latter has at least two personalities in her head that have been seemingly joining into a third personality. Upward vocal fry? It's a little up in the air. Both of the twins have distinctly elfin-pointed ears.
Just wanted to quickly note before we move on from that not only is Heather wearing a version of her husband's electromagnetic power suit, it also just happens to be the body of the robot, the sex bot that murdered her husband, or helped murder her husband. So there's a lot of layers to the layers that Heather's got going on.
Heather's not okay. And anyway.
The team is rounded out by former Gamma and Beta Flight members, the hirsute acrobatic dwarf and a unitard Eugene Judd, aka Puck, techno-transmutator Madison Misssster Jeffries, and the legless Roger Bochs, who is currently trapped in his box with an X-armor because of a case of the bends that happened off-panel a while ago.
Yeah, would you have died of the bends by now? It's pretty quick, isn't it?
No, not, well, kinda, but it's pretty painful. I mean, he's in the armor. That's why he's not dead. But it's just, it just keeps going and going? My God.
Aurora has been engaging in a very mean-spirited flirtation with Roger Bochs and has been reminding him she won't love him while he's trapped in a robot body, and that's putting everybody on edge. Like, it's her problem, but now it's everybody's problem.
Remember, listeners, Aurora said the same thing to Walt when he was stuck in the same robot body.
Weird.
Maybe she just doesn't like that particular robot body, or maybe she is a 0 on whatever the Kinsey scale is for being a robosexual.
While Mr. Jeffries is either like a 5 or a 6 on that scale. What should we call it? Should we call it the Asimov scale, or is that mean to Isaac?
It is. It's actually the Zuckerberg scale.
And speaking of Beta Flight, as of last issue, it's back, baby! The newly manifested mutant, little Kara Killgrave, 13 years old, has been taken on as the first trainee in this new Alpha Flight. She has purple skin, and I think her hair is purple. It's it's one of those coloring things. It's one of those inking things, I should say. She controls people's bodies with pheromones and is known as the Purple Girl, much like her father, the rapist Zebediah Killgrave, aka the Purple Man from, comics in general, but especially Jessica Jones Season 1.
Mystical team members Shaman, Talisman, and Snowbird are all around but taking a back seat after driving the story for a while. There was a lot of parent-child trauma, and none of them are okay.
Yeah, like we said, Heather wasn't okay. None of them are okay. None of Alpha Flight is okay. They are somehow, right now, Tom, even more of a wreck than they were when Spider-Man, of all people, called them out for being a mess. When Peter Parker says, get your shit together, and you don't for another 30 issues. Come on, people.
Shaman has assumed the mantle of Talisman and subsequently lost his human connection, while his daughter Elizabeth is figuring out what to do now that she's not under the same burden.
Snowbird. Hoo boy. She's a demigoddess who forsook her godhood to make a baby with a guy named Doug, and now the baby is an evil old guy called Pestilence. This happened a week ago in the comics, so the feelings are still pretty raw for her, and she kind of longs for the sweet embrace of death a lot.
We are told in an editor's box that they aren't in this issue because they are pursuing Snowbird's evil old man baby boy demigod thing. Yeah.
There are a lot of people going on in this book, and we're going to be adding another in this book. Sounds like it's time to kill a few of them off. Speaking of...
Currently on the deceased roster, this week known as the members of Alpha Flightless, courtesy of Rick over at Rick and Jeff Present, Unpacking the Power Pack. So, go boo him, whatever.
Boo this man.
Even better. Send us your own clever name. You can email it to whynotapod@gmail.com. That's whynotehpod@gmail.com. And we'll read it, no matter how terrible it is, as evidenced by this one.
Yeah, we've been using Rick's terrible names for months now. Well, our Alpha Flightless is made up of team founder and husband to the totally human Heather Hudson, James McDonald Hudson, and one of the original 6 Alphans, our friend, secret agent superhero linebacker Dr. Walter Lankowski, aka Sasquatch, who has died twice now. Once when his physical body died, and again when his soul failed to kill his old buddy Bruce Banner and become the Hulk. Tom, we're not even 50 issues in, and this is what the story so far sounds like.
We've well established that Walt's a Nepo baby, but him being a fail son is also just the sweetener. It's the stevia to the Walter Langowski.
Okay, you know how we talked about how Walt has never failed before. I've been thinking about this. He's dead. He's dead twice. Walt has failed as hard as possible, twice. I think that there is room for growth in Walt now that he has realized that he's not going to get everything he wants out of life. So I'm curious to see what you think about Walt moving forward.
Yeah, we'll reserve judgment on that one, I guess.
Oh, now you're going to reserve judgment on Walt.
I don't want my hatred of Walt to be my defining characteristic, and it absolutely has sort of become that. So we're working on our brands, all right? I'm not just a Walt hater. I am the Walt hater, but I am not just a Walt hater.
You're going to put together an Alpha Flight convention, and there's going to be a hand-taped sign up on the main vinyl banner, and it's going to say, no Waltz allowed.
I'm just saying that Omega Flight had the wrong target. That's all I'm saying. Well, I think that's everything we need to jump into this episode, so kicking us off with...
Alpha Flight number 43, titled Strike Across the Border! Cover date, February 1987. Story by Bill Mantlo, pencils by Dave Ross. Inks by Whilce Portacio. Letters by Ken Bruzenak. Ooh, that's a new one. Colors by Bob Sharon. Editor is Carl Potts, and editor-in-chief is Jim Shooter. On the cover, North Star is being grabbed midair by a sentinel wearing what appears to be the big oblong winged wizard's helmet, while Heather and Aurora flit about fighting other sentinels, and Puck is showing off his meticulously honed little buttocks like this is some Hawkeye Project sample. The sentinels are bursting through a ripped-apart Canadian and American flag, and that's a little too familiar to us these days to pass unnoticed.
Chris, I swear to God, I do this podcast to get away from the news, and yet somehow...
Oh, that's comic books injecting themselves into modern events, man. But then in the background behind the Sentinels is this weird orange color, and it's also the background of the corner box. I'm not a fan. So
there's no splash page to open the issue. It's a very wordy as only Mantlo can do it. 3.5 pages set in the totally real place of Yakima, Washington, where Mesmero is escaping from the totally not real federal prison there. Before we move on, I have to say, this is one of the wordiest, just text-heavy, oh my God, what am I reading, issues that we've encountered in a very, very long time, and it made for an unpleasant reading experience, I have to say.
It was, you're right, it was an unpleasant experience. This was not a fun issue to read, but boy, there's a lot to talk about.
The reading experience was unpleasant. The issue itself is not terrible, and there is a lot to dig into from it. It's just the actual act of getting through it felt like more of a chore than frankly it should have.
It felt like it could have been any comic book from this month that was published by Marvel Comics that they needed an issue of, so they hired Bill Mantlo to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, nothing about this mattered. He was like, oh, this character does this character does it. Here we go. All right, let's do it. But we're here to take this seriously, and so here I am to take this seriously. Well, I'm not sure why we're in Yakima, but Mantlo went out of his way to put us there, despite Yakima being further from the Canadian border than the actual federal correctional facility in Seattle, because Canada is where Mesmero is headed after causing a whole lot of chaos in the prison and probably several deaths. I think he kills like 8 people or something in this book.
Minimum. Is there a superhero who protects Seattle in Marvel?
No, Tom. No, there isn't. In fact, the only Seattle references I could find are Namor being there in like 1942, literally, and in the Age of Apocalypse, it being the hellish slave pit where Generation Next pulls a Rogue One.
Huh.
It's a great book.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember that one. That's... Hoo boy, that's a rough one.
Mesmero is a mutant with green skin, and his eyes mesmerize people to let him control them.
Hence the very creative name.
He's also dressed like, he's green, but he's dressed in like purple bondagey briefs and like a chest harness and collar, and like that's it. And you have to look at the dude and be like, you just broke out of prison. You went out and you chose this outfit. Like, this is what you were stealing clothes. This is what you stole. You didn't stop at a Kohl's. You didn't stop at H&M. No, you went straight to Larry's Bondage Emporium and Horse Saddles.
You know what's really funny is that part isn't written, but in my head, I was immediately thinking it's got to be something like Larry's Bondage Shop. Like, I mean, the fact that we had the exact same name for it is, yeah.
I'm afraid too, Tom. Well, anyway, Mesmero's been around since like 1968 and is still around to this day, but for our purposes, he's just the maniac of the month the Alpha Flight has to stop.
Which has the added bonus of teaching little Kara Killgrave, 13 years old, some important lessons about the ethical use of mass mind control. One wishes such lessons were available to our current tech overlords. Wait, they were. They should have just read Alpha Flight. Fuck.
See, it's worth taking seriously, Tom. In order to get Mesmero back, the private U.S. defense manufacturer named Interdefense launches Sentinels with cloaking technology without the permission of the engineer who designed them. There's an FBI guy in Interdefense's office who brought the Mesmero news to Interdefense specifically because they're known as experienced mutant hunters.
Then, when the designer of the Sentinels objects to the launch because they aren't ready yet, the FBI says, the die is cast, mutie lover. I mean, yeah, fella. The guy heading up the project building giant purple robots specifically engineered to incapacitate and capture mutants for who knows what purposes is a mutie lover. That's why he's telling you these extremely expensive robots can't do what you're asking them to do. He's the only one in the room who understands any of this, and this is how he's treated. And I swear to God, we are not getting any further away from today's news, are we? Damn it.
We come to find out that Interdefense is a privately owned company developing the Sentinels to sell to the U.S. government. Not just privately owned, but owned by one Mr. Sebastian Shaw, Black King of the Hellfire Club, as well as a mutant himself. So I had gone looking for... I had initially started with the concept of like a class or race traitor, and I was looking for some pithy name that wasn't going to be fraught with controversy. But I realized he's not actually, that's not the right concept here. He isn't like a collaborator. He's not doing that. He's not scurrying around for favor from the humans. What he is Ernst Rom. He's not a collaborator trying to save his own skin. He is a collaborator in the sense of he wants the power too, and doesn't realize that he's selling out his people in order for him to be useful, and then when he's not useful anymore, they get rid of him. He didn't read the poem, Tom, is what I'm saying.
I think that, like, in terms of being a race, like the specific terminology of race traitor, then yeah, that's accurate. And class traitor also doesn't work because, I mean, fundamentally he's acting...
yeah, because mutant isn't like a class like that.
Well, but also, if we're talking class, he's incredibly wealthy. Yeah. Like, he is functioning the way that his class functions. So there's no class. Class traitors are frequently like Teddy Roosevelt, the ones that turn against the rest of the wealthy.
No, his cousin was the biggest class traitor of all.
For instance.
If this were about skin color, I would be saying that the only color that matters to Shaw is green.
Right. And within the context of his class, yeah, that's also true.
Yeah,
So, I will simply say, though, I was pleased for the very brief moment that I think it's like just one panel that Shaw is visible, that he doesn't look exactly like Wolverine, because that happened for a while in the 90s and it was really irritating.
Everybody got that Wolverine hair a little bit. It was the Jim Lee copycat style. So it isn't really America invading Canada like the cover suggested with their Sentinels. It's Sebastian Shaw and some FBI guy.
The giant purple robots follow Mesmero into Canada, where we find Alpha Flight all in the Omnijet fighting the box with an X armor and the enraged Roger Bochs inside it.
Much like Roger getting the bends off panel, it appears there was an incident off panel prior to this scene, but not a fun kind of in media res thing. More like, there's half an issue missing between last issue and this, and we missed the part where Aurora teased and taunted Roger about being stuck in his robot body until he snapped and started trying to kill everyone around him.
And that's where we jump in. Northstar somehow makes the situation worse. I mean, okay.
Yeah, Chris, fair enough.
Chris, that's what he does. There's no somehow about it. He sees the situation and instinctively just makes it worse. It's amazing. And is once again stricken with a racking cough. Little Kara Killgrave, 13 years old, steps between the giant robot and Northstar, hoping he will stop, and, yeah, he does not. Could someone maybe explain to her that her power is pheromone-based?
Oh, no, she knows it. She addresses it there in all those words. And she knows, like, she's just totally saying, hey, don't squash the little girl who's in front of you. And Bochs is like, ooh, purple jelly.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I read that thing and all those words, and that didn't exactly translate to me, and that's impressive with all those words for me not to pick up on precisely what she's doing.
Well, Heather uses her Vindicator suit to blast the ever-living shit out of Bochs before he could hurt Kara, and snaps him back to his senses, but also blasts a hole in the Omnijet and sends debris hurtling down towards a highway. Heather then dives out to save the innocent drivers. Tom, did you notice that the Omnijet is the size of a ballroom?
It's massive. But Misssster Jeffries can make it whatever he wants. So apparently
we'll talk more about that, yeah.
As Bochs begs for forgiveness, Aurora somehow makes things, again, with this somehow, of course, like it.
That's the joke. You're stepping on my joke, Tom.
They have 3 powers. They have flight, they have blinding light, and they have the ability to make any situation infinitely worse than it would have been otherwise. It's
with
incredible.
One cutting comment that is just the wrong thing to say.
So Aurora somehow, per Chris's joke, makes things worse and sets him off again, forcing Misssster Jeffries to come back and see what all the ruckus is about. Then ends the ruckus in 2 seconds by transmutating the Bochs armor into an inert lump with Roger still inside.
He looks like a bell with the Bochs head on top. Like he just...
It's really great, actually. It's so demeaning.
As the bell is sitting there and he's muttering, Hari and Judas at the people around him, and I think that's cute, actually. Like, damn it, Mantlo, why can't you be entirely terrible instead of having moments that I enjoy in otherwise terrible things? Although it does make sense, his best friend just did him dirty. Madison just did to Bochs what Madison's brother Lionel did to people's bodies.
And that's why he's Misssster Jeffries.
He's terrifying. Well, Misssster Jeffries turns around and transmutates the whole Omnijet in what has got to be the weirdest vehicle I have ever seen. It's a giant one-wheeled thing that couldn't possibly exist in reality, but I gotta say, I think it looks super cool. Calling it a unicycle wouldn't do it justice. It's just one wheel, but the cabin of the vehicle isn't on top like the seat of a unicycle. It juts out in front like a jet or something, with the big-ass wheel making up the ass end of the craft. Jeffries calls it a monopede, which I don't think makes any sense as a name either, because mono is Greek and pede is Latin. I will bet you $10 that neither Madison nor Bill Mantlo knew that.
Actually, jamming Greek and Latin together is pretty common. Antacid, bigamy, genocide, the list goes on. And yes, I picked those specific words for reasons.
That's exactly what I was trying to come up with a reaction to, was I was like, wait a minute, all of those sound terrible. Well, no, antacid, those are good. Those are helpful.
But they treat something that's terrible.
True.
Before we move on from what Madison creates, it was bugging me reading the comic because it looked like something and I couldn't figure out what it looked like. It looks like Elon's Hyperloop. Like, it looks like some of the schematics for what he was trying to come up with. And yeah,
without the giant ass wheel, right?
And that just makes it even worse. It just makes it all the worse.
It has a new variation of the Alpha Flight icon that we haven't seen before. It's a big A, like with a line kind of through the top of it, kind of like the first Oasis logo for those of you who celebrate.
And you better fucking celebrate.
Little Kara Killgrave, 13 years old, has a moment of thinking,
Heather's a real hero. She cleaned up the mess my ineptitude caused and saved the lives of civilians. Alpha is entrusted with protecting. I wish I had her courage and confidence.
And yeah, Heather is all that. There's been a lot going on, but she has really grown into this role and learned a lot. She's also made the team her own, and it reflects that.
My 2 cents. This is the kind of heavy-handedness that Mantlo does well. There are more subtle or maybe more emotional ways to get this stuff across, but Mantlo is able to put these blunt statements of character and purpose and plot background into people's mouths or thoughts and make them feel like both signposts and in character. Sure, there's half an issue we missed, but statements like this help anchor the meta-narrative together for readers as it develops, for better or for worse.
And it's funny that we brought up Lionel Jeffries, Madison's flesh-shifting brother, earlier, because that's exactly where they're taking Roger Bochs in search of a cure for his case of the bends. Lionel, despite not getting his medical license back after becoming the supervillain Scramble and Cronenbergering a hospital, and Heather Hudson, has set up a private practice called New Life Clinic, where he works his miracles and Alpha Flight needs a miracle. And my God, that sounds like a cult.
Oh, yeah. And it says he was set up because he saved some really rich guy's life, and this really rich guy set him up. And it says in this vast underground facility, because like when the monopede gets there, they have to go through this huge tunnel to get all the way to the loading dock or wherever it is that they were getting at this clinic. Did he save Elon Musk's life? Because it sounds like they just drove through a Hyperloop tunnel to get there.
Yeah, the plan all along was to turn the Alpha Jet, the Omnijet, into that because that was the only way I was going to get in. I mean, I don't think it would have been Elon's life. Like, he's not a grateful person. I'm trying to think of which rich asshole would totally jump all. I could
Jobs.
see Mark Andreessen. I could no. Well, maybe
Jobs would have gone to Lionel to get fixed.
Maybe.
And he would have gotten fixed, and he would have had all the money.
I think maybe Mark, in terms of their current crop, Mark Andreessen could totally get snowed by a guy.
Is he the guy that takes like blood from his son?
No, that's a different guy. Mark Andreessen is a major tech investor, and yeah, apparently has always been, but has kind of become more prominently fascist. So, good times.
I think once you trade in the M for a B, it also comes with a free fascist armband. Back to the book. Worth noting here that Northstar wonders if he should ask Lionel to fix his recurrent cough, and Northstar himself says it has been happening since he fought Pestilence, Snowbird's evil old man baby boy demigod. I hadn't made that connection as a kid, and I just thought it was a plot point being brought up that, no, Northstar's got this sickness or whatever. And as an adult, I saw the cough and jumped straight to, Bill's AIDS baiting. So I guess this fight with Pestilence is his AIDS bait fig leaf.
Also, Lionel has an intern working working at his privately funded and unlicensed medical facility, a young Dr. Whitman Knapp.
A medical intern has completed medical school and as such holds a medical doctorate and is thus referred to as doctor. Internship is the first year out of medical school and working under supervision, so think season 1 of Scrubs. As a surgical intern, he would be Turk, not JD. So, bachelor's degree, medical school, we're talking Dr. Knapp is probably what, 25? I think that's a fair number, right, Tom?
Sure. Why are we doing this?
Just introducing a background character who is going to rise in prominence, that's all. That's all. No other reason.
I hate it when you do this. Lionel tells the team to settle in because this is going to be a bit. Fortunately for Alpha Flight, news of Mesmero reaches them and they dash off to stop his murderous spree. Yeah, they get an update through the Alpha Nex. On that whole thing about putting, Latin and Greek together. Could they please stop adding alpha to the front of fucking everything? Like it's, they're gonna have alpha branded bologna soon, and it's gonna be disgusting.
I disagree. I believe they should lean even harder into it and go the Batman style of having alpha everything. There should be an alpha toilet. There should be alpha rangs. I don't know. Anything. I'm all for it. Alpha everything. Alpha all the things. The Sentinels find Mesmero at the Vancouver Expo 88. This is like the second expo Alpha Flight has been to. Apparently the expos were all the rage in the late 80s. Mesmero mesmeroized the crowd into killing themselves one by one when he tells them to, and traps the Sentinels in a logic trap while trying to figure out how to get away from them.
After sending one person to leap to their death, Mesmero says, we need a Mesmero voice.
Oh, his name is Vincent? His
name's Vincent?
He will later lose his powers in M-Day, and he will find love with a sex worker who is the only person who has ever given him love without him telling them to.
They can only execute me once, no matter how many people I murder, so you'd best back off and let me go.
I was hoping Vinny from The Shore.
I was trying to give you Vincent Price.
What? You can't make Mesmero Vincent Price? Well, he is now.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the content of the words you just said instead of how you said them. How can Mantlo go so hard on some things like murder and childhood trauma and yet still be writing at the level of a bright 11-year-old?
Yeah, I'm perplexed as to your confusion.
This book is so by the numbers and everything, and yet Mesmero is literally killing people left and right. We saw an unnecessarily detailed drawing of a woman jumping to her death, and while she falls, her skirt is not flipping up. It is still laying as though she's standing still.
Perhaps this is a little bit of the mid-'80s Alan Moore, Frank Miller inflection. Creeping in ever so slightly. As the team flies in, Heather says, "That's where you're wrong, Sentinels. Yes, we recognize you, American-made mutant hunters who've plagued the X-Men over the years. But this is Canada, Alpha Flight's jurisdiction." Aurora replies, "The Sentinels seem unimpressed, Vindicator."
Yeah, me too, Vindicator. Another heavy hammer blow of exposition. Tom, do you want to do another take of that, but do it like, "This is Canada" style? Maybe that's how Heather said it. Like, I could hear her saying that.
But this is Canada, eh? Alpha Flight's jurisdiction.
Mantlo remembers Puck is here again to have him complain about being carried into battle and that Snowbird and Shaman are off searching for pestilence, which an editorial box tells us instead of reading it in the story. Tom, there isn't half an issue missing. There's a whole issue missing. It feels like this is issue 44 with the number crossed out and 43 scribbled in pencil.
By God, King, is that Mantlo's music I hear? Now this feels like early Mantlo, which I sounded excited about, but I'm not.
This heavy-handed exposition style is what I remember most about these mid-late 80s Marvels books. Jim Shooter was apparently pushing editors to make sure every issue could be someone's first, and to keep explaining things in dialogue. And does this book do this? Absolutely. Is this book a fun experience for someone to pick up as their first book? Absolutely not. And yes, this sucks, but let me tell you, do you honestly like the recap page system that literally tells you what you need to know and the names and powers and relevant bio of all the cast. Because I remember that era, and while I liked, generally the stories of the books that were behind that page, I didn't love that page, and I could feel it changing the nature of how the issues related to each other. Essentially, that felt like when publishing intending to become a trade paperback was taking over, and you didn't get the years-long, layered, and progressed plots that interconnected anymore. For my money, I prefer the Claremont style of progression and editor's boxes with issue references when a very slightly stilted reminder has to be jammed into the dialogue. If you read a bunch of Marvel stuff from this era of Shooter's editor-in-chiefhood, you end up kind of mentally editing in your understanding of what's actually said in the story to be less stilted. Unless it's coming from Captain America, because 616 Cap is actually that stilted until Avengers Disassembled at best. So, Tom, I am spent. Nerd rant off. Where were we?
Oh, Heather's heavy-handed narration, which should just be, we should trademark that.
Heather's heavy-handed narration is my spoken word Enya cover band.
I hate every word that just came out of your mouth.
This happens on page 16 of the book, which means the team arrives at the fight exactly on cue to enter the third act because Mantlo has a rhythm.
And what a third act it is. Here's what happens in 8 pages.
Misssster Jeffries and little Kara Killgrave arrive in the Omnijet. Madison jumps out of the jet and leaves it in the control of little Kara Killgrave, 13 years old. Okay, look, Tom, I really wanted to speed through this because we've gone on enough about one issue, and there's a lot left, but come on! I don't even know what to say about this. He just left a 13-year-old girl flying a $700 million jet.
Well, Kara promptly uses the Omnijet to get one Sentinel to crash into another Sentinel, but manages to eject from the doomed Alpha Jet in time.
Alas, poor Alpha Jet, we hardly knew thee. How many is this?
I lost count. I failed you, my family, and the listeners.
Well, I guess when Jeffries works for you, he can really just make you anything you want, so...
Considering that he literally...
Oh, yeah, we'll get there. So Jeffries leaps towards a Sentinel, threatening Heather, and he transmutates the entire Sentinel's body into a powered flight suit for himself, because mass and volume have no meaning anymore.
Why is Jeffries not your first, second, last every option? Like, throw the man into, like, he should be leading from the front. He should be the point person at all times.
Well, and once again, he's wearing the dead body of his enemy, which is pretty baller.
Oh man, he loves it. This guy isn't into leather work.
He is into wearing his robot nemesis skin as well as into non-nemesis robots, shall we say.
Because, Chris, you keep what you kill. Heather holds Madison in her arms while he uses the dead Sentinel he was wearing to make a giant spear. This is just like insulting at this point. And then Heather's power suit electromagnetically stabs the remaining Sentinel to death with his buddy, with his broodmate, it's Jesus.
Yeah, and Heather's wearing another dead robot enemy. Like, when the enemy is a robot.
They show up and all the robots in the vicinity immediately shit themselves.
There's a whole different way this book could have gone that was just Madison and Heather just keeping what they kill, like you said, but it's all robots.
Like, Vision sees them coming and quickly tries to get the fuck out of Dodge. Ultron, this is the hard counter to Ultron, and he knows it. They will kill me, and then she will wear me.
I'm sure if somebody hasn't written it, there should totally be a story where Ultron just turns all of his attention to making sure that Madison Jeffries is dead. Because, as we've seen, every time Madison Jeffries gets within, as he puts it, spitting distance of a robot, he ends up wearing that robot like a skin.
Time travel is developed simply so that future, like Kang or whomever, can take out the one guy that can absolutely shut them down every time.
You know what? Totally do like a reverse Terminator type thing where Ultron is sending back people from the future trying to kill Madison Jeffries. Like, guys, this is like a 6-issue series right here.
We're pitching you right now.
I'm doing the Stephen Colbert money-grabbing motion here. Pay me.
Puck fights through a crowd of Mesmero's Mesminions. Seriously.
I love it.
Only to come under the villain's power through eye contact.
Little Kara Killgrave, 13 years old, expertly parachutes onto the narrow strip Mesmero's remaining Mesminions are cornered on, keeps her eyes closed, and takes over the Mesminions into purple people puppets, and subdues the enraged Mesmero, who has been doing this since 1968, and he was just taken out by a 13-year-old.
All the violence results in debris that leaves Puck injured again. As Heather flies to his aid, he thinks,
I know that once more my powerlessness has proven a liability to the woman I love.
that was my head hitting the desk.
Oh, also over the course of these 8 pages is that Heather and Madison are now super horny for each other. It's sudden and weird, and it's going to be around a long time. But she keeps calling him throughout this third act, Mr. Jeffries. Like, that is what Heather calls him. He's Mr. Jeffries, and no one ever says why.
And with that, Feeny, because I can't take any more of
We
this.
made it, Tom. I'm pouring more coffee. That was a lot. Now, over in our Patreon series, when we were talking about the Fantastic Four, I said that it was the most Marvel shit I had seen in a long time, and that was not a complaint. Well, this issue is the most Mantlo shit I have read in a long time, and that absolutely is a complaint. You know what this issue reminded me of, Tom? Have you ever seen videos of giraffes learning to walk?
No. Do I need to go do that now?
Yeah. Yeah, there. That's the laugh. Yeah. So just when the baby giraffe looks like it can handle running and they have all this smoothed out, bam! They hit the dirt in a pile that looks like it's entirely made out of elbows. Tom, this is an elbow issue. This issue moves as if it's just all the wrong angles and joints, and they're all put together, and it's like watching a gangly 16-year-old boy try to do anything. Just walk down the street, you know? It's all
man,
just wonky.
That giraffe totally ate shit. That was really something.
Yeah, this issue is the giraffe eating the shit. The last couple of issues where we were saying, you know what? Hey, it feels like we're going places. I'm okay with this. And then suddenly the giraffe eats the shit.
And that is why it is getting its own episode. You know how Avengers 2 did a lot of resetting the narrative stage for what was coming while still managing to be a story of its own that has lasting consequences straight through till Endgame? This issue is like if that movie utterly failed to do what it set out to do. We award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Yes, we have all the narrative stage set for what is coming, but I didn't enjoy the way it was done in such a transparently rushed and outcome-oriented way.
Well, bad news, chum. We have a few more of these to get through before we hit the very big status quo reset in issue number 51.
That's a lot of issues. Are they all like this?
Always like this. Sorry, bruv. That was my horrible Jean Reno attempt.
So tell you what, why not end on a positive note? I really enjoyed Misssster Jeffries in this issue. He's protective and supporting and mentoring towards Kara. He's functioning as an integral part of the team. He's seeing what needs to be done, what he specifically can do and needs to do, and doing it, from wearing another robot as a suit to helping Heather out to saving everyone when he transforms the Omnijet in, a split second. I will say that leaving Kara alone in a $1 billion, man, the price keeps going up, Omnijet, the size of the Calgary Stampede, oh, good pull, so he can impress his crush. That wasn't cool. But the rest of the time, he's cool. She snuck on board after all. She wasn't supposed to be there. He was crashing the jet anyway. So really, it's the 13-year-old's fault. Is that what you're arguing here, Chris, as I'm reading the script?
She snuck onto the jet. She snuck onto the jet that was being driven to a superhero battle. Tell me whose fault this is. She was told to stay there by the people legally empowered to do that by her mother because they had permission. Whose fault is this, Tom? Were they supposed to chain her up there? Have you ever dealt with a 13-year-old who doesn't listen when you say no?
I have an 11-year-old daughter who we are now hearing in these episodes, and that feels like dealing with a 17-year-old. So yeah, I can see that. So other than that, he seems like a dude who has never been in the limelight, stepping up and coming into himself. And now he's got a kid to look after too. But Mr. Jeffries is showing up and showing out, and I'm very much enjoying him.
I agree about all the characterization, and it's nice to see him getting fleshed out. I wish that he was not being fleshed out because there needs to be a overtly straight white man on this team. Because right now, there is not someone who looks like a superhero, according to a certain mindset of certain types of writers in this time of life. And if you look at our team, we have Shaman, Northstar, Puck, Roger. And none of those people, quote, look like a superhero. And so while it's great to see Madison getting this, what I wish that it was not literally at the expense of these other characters that we have come to appreciate for what they have brought to the book.
This thought was occurring to me as I was making my final pitch around Madison, but it's also like, and you're using the phrase coming at the expense of, I mean, he is essentially taking the space that Puck did. I mean, we are getting characterization, we're getting thought processes, we're getting someone who knows what to do as part of the team, does his job well, steps in when he needs to. And that is who Puck was for the majority of this comic so far. Now it's Madison. And to your point, now it's Madison who looks or could potentially look more like a traditional superhero from a certain point of view. And that loss coupled with the only time we really hear from Puck is him, shitting on himself again. It sucks.
Yeah.
It really does suck.
Well, I'm sorry to have ended your ending on a good part with ending on a less good part. So let's actually end on some time-shifted dialogue with a listener. Faithful listener Mike North's Toupee. Hi, Mike. Writes, Gentlemen, I just listened to your most recent episode that covered Alpha Flight Annual number 1. Chris, good sir, I am simply appalled by you. Your reaction to Gilded Lily saying that she had far more need of Aurora's body than Roger did. You, sir, have your mind in the gutter. Villains always say stuff like that to the protagonist/hero. Look at the Red Skull when he battled Captain America. Remember that issue when the Red Skull said he needed Cap's body? Was it issue... Okay, well, maybe that never happened, but what about that one time the Joker said he had far more need of Batman's body than Vicky Vale did? It was an issue... Okay, well, maybe I can't recall that one either, but my point is that I'm sure supervillains say stuff like that all the time, right? Right?
Oh, my sweet summer child. I love that these are our listeners. I love that. Honestly, that read like Chris wrote it. Like, I mean, and he didn't. I love you guys. I love that you get the jokes we're making. And I love that you are picking up what we're putting down. But to address your question specifically, no, they really don't. The supervillains, they tend not to do that at all for the most part. Chris was right to have the reaction he did.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of in the Venture Brothers when they were kidnapped by Sergeant Hatred earlier on, and Sergeant Hatred is a known pedophile because he likes very small, soft feet. And you get him on the young boys. And one of the brothers had to explain to the other brother that, no, that's not what a normal kidnapping is like. I've seen supervillains, Dean. That's not what supervillains do, Dean. Our pants don't come off with other supervillains, Dean.
I also should have kept track of Venture Brothers references in this podcast. Yeah. Thanks for writing in. We always love hearing from our listeners. We really enjoy you guys. So please do continue to reach out and let us know what you're liking. Let us know what you don't like, but that hasn't really happened yet, which is great. You know what? Don't tell us if you don't like it. Just keep listening. We'll change. I don't know. I just
we
want
can
to hear
change,
about it.
baby.
but also do let us know. And we mentioned this last time, but do let us know what other kinds of interviews you'd be interested in having us conduct. Who or what topics you'd like to hear us chat about? Because we enjoy expanding our knowledge, our awareness of what's going on, learning about things that we haven't picked up on. It just makes us better at this. And y'all seem to enjoy it too. So, our inbox is open. Please do let us know.
We are literally watching it right now, waiting for you.
Which makes no sense since this is,
No, it means we're always watching it, Tom. That's what I'm going for.
Well, it is on my phone, so I do see.
Yeah, me too.
Everything.
Why Not Read Alpha Flight is brought to you by the Excelsior Embroidery Company, a proud sponsor of Rude Fest 2, a celebration of ska in St. Louis at the Four Hands Brewing Company on October 4th. Come out to this free festival to hear some great music, try some great beer from Four Hands, and maybe grab a patch or towel and say hi. If you have seen my display at other events, I want you to know that the display at Rude Fest is going to be almost entirely different than what you've seen before. So, come see what Etsy won't let me list. But unlike ska and beer festivals, Principles Etsy is available to everyone every day. You can visit ExcelsierEmbroidery.etsy.com to see a selection of offerings that will brighten up any home. Listeners of Why Not can use the coupon code WHYNOT20 to get 20% off any 2 items. When company's coming over, bring out the good towels. Excelsior.
Why Not Read Alpha Flight with Chris and Tom is recorded in Chicago, Illinois, and deep beneath stately Baker Manor in a fashionable neighborhood outside St. Louis. It is written by Chris Baker, edited by Tom Flynn, with additional voice work by my age-appropriate daughter, and cat noises courtesy of Teeny the Chunky Calico, with an assist this episode from Salem, the Radioactive Void. Our theme song is Oh Canada by Five Iron Frenzy. New episodes are released every other Monday at www.thewhynotpod.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Please take a moment to rate our show on your preferred podcast platform and take a moment to mention the show to someone you think would like it, wherever you talk to fellow Alpha Flight fans. And if you're into that sort of thing, maybe follow us on Blue Sky or Instagram. Those things really help our show grow, and we appreciate it.
Next up, a return to classic Alpha Flight themes with the death of an Alphan and a tightly woven continuity hook used in a way that is actually kinda cool. Damn it, Mantlo, why can't you be all terrible instead of 15% kinda fun?
And a 50% chance that Misssster Jeffries wears another robot like a 3-piece suit.
See you next time, folks.